Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, the Hollywood starlet turned royal rebel, the woman who shook the monarchy to its core. But what if I told you that one tiny detail, buried in an old teen magazine, could unravel her entire story? What if Meghan's carefully polished age isn't what the palace has been telling us for years? Well, buckle up, because tonight we're not just sipping tea, we're spilling it by the gallon. And the source? None other than Meghan's own father, Thomas Markle, who isn't just hinting, he's basically shouting that something doesn't add up. A mysterious magazine scan, a suspicious birth certificate edit, university photos that don't match the timeline. Piece by piece, the puzzle gets stranger, darker, and more scandalous. So, was Meghan really born in 1981? Or has her age been rewritten, airbrushed, and repackaged for Hollywood and the Crown? Stay tuned, because this might be Meghan's most shocking scandal yet. Let's set the stage. For years, the official Meghan Markle story has been sold to the world like a glossy magazine spread. Born August 4, 1981. Raised under the California sun in Los Angeles. A bright, ambitious young woman who hustled her way from the glamorous but thankless role of briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal to the breakout star of the legal drama Suits. From there, her life seemed to follow a script so cinematic it could have been written in Hollywood itself, until she walked down the aisle in 2018, marrying Prince Harry in front of millions of enchanted viewers around the globe. It's a perfect arc, isn't it? The struggling actress becomes the radiant Duchess. The commoner turned royal. A Cinderella story for the 21st century. But here's the problem with fairy tales. They're tidy. They're polished. They never show you the mess behind the curtain. And real life, especially royal life, is never that clean. Enter Thomas Markle, Meghan's estranged father. A man who, depending on who you ask, is either the bitter exiled parent grasping for relevance, or the inconvenient truth teller, the whistleblower who refuses to play along with the palace-approved narrative.
To be honest with you, I love both my daughters. I'm not happy with what one of my daughters is doing, and I don't know what caused her to do this. We've had this conversation before. She's telling lies.
He's never been shy about speaking out, never hesitant to air what most families would bury deep in private. And like it or not, when Thomas speaks, the world listens. Because every time his words hit the airwaves, they don't just echo, they explode into headlines. And in one interview in particular, Thomas Markle delivered a revelation so jarring, so off-script, that it stopped people in their tracks. Forget about family squabbles, forget about the endless royal drama. This time, his words were aimed at the very foundation of Meghan's story, her age. Thomas doesn't buy it. He doesn't believe Meghan's official birth year lines up with the timeline the palace has drilled into the public for years. And when a father, your own father, casts doubt on something as basic as your birthday, it's not just a family disagreement. It's dynamite. Because if Meghan's age doesn't add up, what else might not? Here's where it gets juicy. Page 90. March 1997. 17 magazine. At first glance, just another harmless teen glossy. Bright pictures, cheerful headlines, tips for school dances. But look closer, and suddenly you're staring down the rabbit hole of one of the strangest royal mysteries in recent memory. In that issue, tucked among the quizzes and fashion spreads, an article casually lists Meghan Markle as 21 years old. Wait, what? Let's pause and do the math. Meghan was born in 1981. In March 1997, she would have been 15, maybe 16. Yet here she is officially in print, listed as 21. That's a 6-year gap. 6 years. That's not a rounding error, not a oops moment. It's practically an alternate timeline. And the implications are bigger than they seem. A girl listed as 21 isn't just a wide-eyed teenager dreaming of Hollywood fame. She's a grown woman, someone who could be signed to serious contracts, photographed in adult magazines, and treated as a professional. That shifts the narrative entirely. So, was it a simple printing mistake? Maybe. But in an industry like Hollywood, mistakes like this are rarely innocent. Ages are tweaked, careers are carefully curated, and personal histories are often massaged to fit a desired image. Stars have been shaving years off their age since the silent film era. It's practically industry standard to see a 31-year-old billed as 25 or a 25-year-old billed as 21. And here's the kicker. Meghan isn't just any actress anymore. She's a duchess, a royal, and in royal circles, dates aren't mere trivia. They're the backbone of credibility. Birthdays, marriage dates, anniversaries, everything is meticulously recorded, scrutinized, and cited. One little inconsistency in a teen magazine may seem small, but it becomes a curious footnote in a lifetime now lived under the spotlight. In other words, this isn't just a typo in a magazine. It's a subtle crack in the story, a tiny anomaly that makes you pause and ask, what else might be carefully curated? Here's the thing, if Meghan's age really is different than the palace claims, it's not just a vanity tweak. It changes everything. Think about her wedding in 2018. Every headline screamed, 36-year-old Meghan marries Harry. She was framed as a modern, mature bride who brought freshness and independence to the monarchy. But if she was actually in her early 40s at the time, that entire narrative collapses. The modern bride becomes an older outsider. The fairy tale starts to look more like a spin. And that's the real danger here. It's not just about Meghan. It's about the monarchy's credibility. Because if something as basic as a birthday can be blurred, softened, or rewritten, then what else has been massaged for public consumption? Let's stack the dominoes, one by one, and see where they fall. First, 17 Magazine, 1997. Meghan Markle is listed as 21. Not 15, not 16, 21. A small detail in a teen glossy, but a detail that doesn't quite add up. Next, Northwestern University, early 2000s. Alumni photos and yearbooks show classmates who appear to have been born in the early 1970s. Suddenly, if Meghan were older than her official birth year, she would fit right in. If not, she seems out of place. Then, Archie's birth certificate, 2019, quietly amended just weeks later. Meghan's full given names, Rachel Meghan, vanish from the record. Officially, it was called a consistency adjustment. Behind closed doors, palace insiders were murmuring something a little different, unusual, very unusual. Each one of these events on its own. Maybe nothing. A misprint, a coincidence, a bureaucratic tweak. But string them together, one after the other, and a pattern begins to emerge. And online, the pattern hasn't gone unnoticed. Reddit threads dissect every detail. TikTok videos splice together side-by-side photo comparisons. Every inconsistency, every anomaly is magnified and shared, fueling speculation like wildfire. Taken together, these aren't just quirks. They start to suggest a story far more complicated than anyone expected. Let's be real, Meghan's Hollywood career wasn't exactly meteoric. She wasn't born into a franchise, handed blockbuster roles, or launched onto the silver screen with a fanfare. She hustled. She auditioned. She took small gigs, side roles, guest appearances, anything that would get her a foothold. And then, finally, she clawed her way into Suits, a role that would define her early career. In Hollywood, age isn't just a number. It's a gatekeeper. It decides who gets the ingenue parts, the fresh-faced romantic leads, the girl-next-door archetypes. Cross the invisible line into your 30s, and suddenly the roles dry up. You'd be perfect for the mom, they say, and it's not a compliment. It's a polite career obituary. The industry doesn't care about talent, charisma, or skill. It cares about whether your birthday fits the script. So if Meghan really shaved 6 years off her age, this wasn't vanity. This was survival. This was a strategy. A way to navigate a brutal, ageist industry that tosses women aside the minute a wrinkle shows up under harsh studio lights. It's the kind of move that separates those who barely scrape by from those who actually make it. But here's the kicker. What works in Hollywood, what's accepted, even expected, doesn't translate to Windsor Castle. The rules change. Royals don't get to rewrite their biographies, fudge dates, or adjust the narrative to suit an image. Every birthday, every marriage date, every historical record is supposed to be untouchable, sacrosanct. And that's exactly why this alleged age gap is explosive. In Hollywood, it might be a survival tactic. In royalty, it's a potential scandal. A single inconsistency, a misaligned number, suddenly weighs a glossy magazine. Suddenly, the small print starts to look like dynamite. Now let's talk about Thomas. This isn't some random internet rumor, some conspiracy theory whispered on forums at 2 a.m. This is family. Meghan's own father is the one lighting the match. Thomas Markle has said again and again that Meghan lies. He doesn't hedge. He doesn't soften the edges. He doesn't dance around the topic with vague insinuations. He comes straight out and says it in interviews, in tell-all pieces, in moments that grab headlines and won't let go. And whether you see him as bitter, brokenhearted, or just brutally honest, the impact of his words can't be ignored.
I have no problem facing her in court and disputing what she has to say.
When a parent questions their child's integrity, It cuts deeper than any tabloid claim, deeper than any stranger's suspicion. There's a weight to it that resonates, because family knows the truth in ways the public never will. And he's not the only one. Meghan's half-sister, Samantha Markle, has echoed the same claims, even taking it as far as suing Meghan in court over alleged fabrications. That's not gossip, that's legal action. That's someone willing to stake their reputation and their claims on the line. So what do we make of it? Is this simply a family unraveling under the immense pressure of fame, palace scrutiny, and public expectation? Or is this something closer to an insider confession, a window into truths we're not supposed to see, hinted at in moments that the public can't ignore? When the family starts speaking, you listen. Because in their words, there might be more than resentment, there might be reality. For the palace, this is a nightmare scenario. The monarchy runs on credibility, tradition, and control. Every birthday, every anniversary, every detail is polished until it shines. So when the public starts asking, wait, how old is Meghan really? It's not just gossip. It's an attack on the palace's ability to control the narrative. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time the palace has been rocked by scandals of credibility. Princess Diana's tell-all interview, Prince Andrew's disastrous BBC special, each one chipped away at the royal veneer of perfection. Meghan's age mystery? It's just the latest crack in the wall. Here's the most fascinating part. Meghan herself has said nothing. Not a word. Supporters insist that this is brilliant. Why dignify rumors, inconsistencies, or tabloid speculation with a response? Silence, in this view, is strength, a refusal to hand attention to the noise. It's the kind of calculated restraint that only someone who knows the media machine can wield effectively. But critics see it differently. Silence, they argue, can look like evasion. When the questions pile up and the anomalies become impossible to ignore, saying nothing starts to feel suspicious. Every unspoken word becomes a space for speculation. Every pause a door for doubt to creep in. And here's the tricky part. The longer she stays quiet, the louder the whispers grow. Reddit threads explode, TikTok clips go viral, and online debates stretch across forums and social media. Silence, rather than quelling the chatter, seems to amplify it. So what is it really? Is Meghan's refusal to comment a power move, a demonstration that she doesn't need to justify herself to anyone? Or is it a carefully calculated strategy, letting the storm of public scrutiny burn itself out, hoping that time will erode curiosity and conspiracy alike? Either way, the silence is deafening. It dominates the conversation, shapes the narrative, and leaves everyone watching, wondering not just what's true, but why she isn't saying a word. At the end of the day, this isn't just about one woman's age. It's about trust. It's about whether the stories we're told, from Hollywood bios to palace press releases, are as airtight as we think. Because if a single line on page 90 of 17 magazine can send shockwaves through the monarchy, then imagine what the next revelation could do. Is Meghan Markle really 6 years older than her official biography claims? We may never know for sure. But one thing's undeniable. The mystery has become part of her legacy. Not just Meghan the actress. Not just Meghan the Duchess. Meghan the enigma. And when it comes to the royal family, one unanswered question is often more dangerous than 1,000 answers. So stay tuned, because if history has taught us anything, it's that the next royal bombshell is always just around the corner.